On September 9, 2009, the author Isayama Hajime would release his first chapter of his manga Attack on Titan. Before this, almost all of his attempts at being a successful mangaka would fail because of, well, his bad drawings. And it's not to say that he can produce a compelling composition or that his art has not improved over the years, but his early volumes of Attack on Titan definitely is very lackluster, his art causing him to be rejected by several manga publishers until he was finally given a shot by the Bisatsu Shonen magazine.
Just like any other aspiring manga artist, I visited several major publishing companies to get Attack on Titan evaluated. They liked my storyline, but said the quality of my drawings was poor. I was beginning to give up because there are so many people who want to become manga artists. I didn't think I could become one of the big ones. The only publisher which showed any interest was Kodansha. My self-esteem was so low. When my editor said he liked it, I remember thinking, what's wrong with this guy?
The art is definitely made up by the series' plot and concept. Apparently, Isayama took inspiration from a computer game where humans had to protect themselves from aliens.
I got the idea for Attack on Titan from a computer game. The whole universe was under attack from aliens. I thought if those monsters ate humans, that would be pretty interesting. The cruelty of man-eating titans. I think it came from my experience of growing up in a farm. As a child, I remember thinking all living creatures must get nutrition from other living creatures to survive. We might call it cruel, but it is actually the norm.
And the concepts of human-like titans dawning upon him when he encountered a drunk guy in a cafe and struggled to communicate with him. This made Isayama realize that the most scariest and familiar animal were humans itself. Isayama would also use the valley that he was raised in as an inspiration for the world of Attack on Titan, with the walls originally supposed to be trees.
Was I expecting it to be such a massive hit even outside Japan? I wasn't, but in a way I was. When I first came up with the idea, I had a dream with no limits. In my tiny room, I felt I was connected to the universe, bypassing the ordinary world. In my dreams, I thought Attack on Titan was a fascinating, world-changing idea. The structure of the story, that there are walls and outside the walls, there are monsters, and inside the walls, there are different classes within the society. I think those concepts are universal. Maybe that was why it became popular.
Attack on Titan would quickly pick up steam and in the next decade or so would evolve into a bona fide global phenomenon. The success of Attack on Titan is, well, unprecedented. For a non-Shonen Jump title to at a point in its lifespan to beat the king of Shonen itself, One Piece, is, well, very outlandish and begs the question, what makes Attack on Titan so popular? Attack on Titan tells a story of a world infested with titans, massive humanoids that have devoured most humans, causing the remainder of humanity to take refuge behind giant walls. It's a compelling premise, but one that's also very simple, which made the series have a much easier entry barrier. Most of the early appeal of this series came from the Titans. Combining the Asian kaiju and the Western zombies was a formula for success. The Titans are an embodiment of our existential paranoia that we humans may no longer be the dominant species. The Titans also have this uncanny similarity to human appearance that adds a certain amount of mystique and intrigue to them. Attack on Titan also treats its characters with respect. However absurd the character may be, the characters always act how they would act under the given circumstances. No character is shielded by the plot, and by its very nature, each battle these characters face is a David versus Goliath to the highest degree. All these made the manga very likely to take off, which it did, but no one really expected how popular the series would get in 2013 when the anime came out. The anime opens up with a young boy waking up from a dream that felt as long as the entire lifespan. We are introduced to the life within the walls and Eren's family, and just as his father is about to leave, we get a setup for anime's biggest mystery box in the form of the basement key. Just as we are introduced to this world, everything changes. Because of his premise, the shock and the utter brutality of the first episode, the anime absolutely exploded. Though the genius of the plot can be given to Isayama, the excellence of the anime can be attributed to the series director Tetsuya Araraki and action directors Arafumi Yamai, Yosuke Ibara and Yoko Sera, with the 2D and 3D department at Studio Width working side by side, first animating a rough 2D animation, then the 3D staff constructing the scene with virtual cameras and backgrounds, and finally the 2D staff coming back at the end to add the 2D animations and creating something that's truly a jaw-dropping sequence. The compositors for this show have also done an excellent job, as the 2D and the 3D elements are very seamless, coupled with Hiroku Sahonu's soundtrack that give a sense of despair, hope and grandeur. We have a show that transcended the medium itself.
Where the series' popularity really exploded was in 2013 with the airing of the anime, and a key part of this was the series director Tetsuro Araki, who was a damn near perfect choice to convey this kind of story. And what I mean by that is Attack on Titan is a series of moments. It's not really something you watch to see characters slowly develop, or to bathe in subtle atmosphere, or to watch a narrative steadily progress. Rather, it's a show of big, flashy, emotional outbursts, dramatic and often ludicrous plot twists, and intense explosions of action. And the reason Araki, not that one, is so well suited to this kind of story is that these moments are just the kind of intense instances he's exceptional at conveying. He knows just how to move a camera in a 3D space to maximize the energy and drama of a single second, whether it's something as small as Light taking the potato chip in Death Note, or as massive as the colossal titan swinging his arm and destroying the armaments of Wall Maria. There's a velocity and an impact to how he directs these scenes, greatly adding to the visual appeal of this show. These moments are also complemented by arguably one of the best soundtracks of recent times, which, while being great music, also has a way of swelling and exploding that beautifully complements those moments of intense visual drama. Kinda like this.
The first arc grips us into this simple but very interesting world. Though a fantasy setting, everything in this world makes sense and feel real. We see these three main characters grow up, train and become soldiers, and head out into the world to fight titans. And that's where the despair hits. Most of the cast are killed off, and the anime showcases the brutal and hopeless reality that the humans in this world live in. However, in this despair, there is hope. With the Trost Arc, humanity is able to get the first victory over the titans, and this is really what made the series so infectious. The fact that even in this bleak and brutal world, that there is a chance, a glimmer of hope.
I could probably write an entire essay on the mission to seal the Trost Gate alone, but I think it speaks for itself in the moment. Our heroes have faced nothing but pain and insurmountable despair for the last 9 episodes of the Trost Arc, only to raise their beaten heads once again to save mankind. The mission to seal the gate really encapsulates the second half of the Attack on Titan philosophy, according to Mikasa. The world may be cruel and unforgiving, but it has moments of beauty beyond comparison. So, as we go into the final season of Attack on Titan this December, who knows what might happen? If the Trost Arc has taught us anything, we can expect that nothing is off the table in terms of pain this season. But there will be moments of profound beauty to keep us moving through it all. Regardless of what happens, I think we should all take a moment to appreciate where this show started back in Trost, so that we can better appreciate when it comes to its conclusion.
The female Titan arc sets the tone for the series going forward, the sense of mystery in this simple world. The fact that the Titans could have originated from humans, that there are more Titan sisters within the walls, and the final crack in the walls hinting at the fact that there's a deeper truth behind this so-called simple world of Attack on Titan. At the end of season 1, the show was at its cultural peak. It was a glorified worldwide phenomenon. Everyone was talking about this show, and all it needed to do to carry this momentum was anything, and what we got was nothing. Between season 1 to season 2, there is a gap of nearly 4 years. This is so infamous that it is a major part of the Attack on Titan fandom. This was caused to Studio with having a jam-packed schedule that didn't allow them to produce a second season for Attack on Titan. From the very get-go, Studio with never wanted to be the Attack on Titan studio and thus had planned years in advance for their future projects. However, they didn't anticipate the popularity of Attack on Titans, and they also didn't have the proper amount of source material needed for the second season. This caused many of the fans to lose interest over the years, and some even started to question the quality of the show. While going back through the reviews, I've seen this point so much that I have to address it. The argument is that the show has a major pacing issue, as from episode 1 to 5 time passes very fast and the show drastically slows down in the female Titan arc. This of course is a fallacy, as pacing does not refer to the passage of time within a show, rather is the real time taken for a story to advance from beat to beat, development to development, and by this metric the show is alright. In this 4 years hiatus, we also got Attack on Titan Junior High, which was something, and the live action movies where Commander Pixis turns out to be the colossal Titan, and it has this weird sci-fi twist to it where the world was actually our world but in the future, and Titans are just some weird science experiment gone wrong. Coming off the roller coaster that was the first season, the second season was way different. The story basically slowed down to favor its character writing and creating more intrigue on what the deeper truth behind the world could mean. We are given more hints on what the Titans are, we are made more attached to the surviving characters, and the mystery behind the basement, the colossal Titan and the armored Titan are built upon from the first season. And the ending having a reveal both surprising as well as the most rational turn of events in the story so far, up to the point we as the viewers were given all the necessary pieces of the puzzle, but we didn't realize it until the puzzle was put together in front of our own eyes.
エレン、ちょっといいか、話があるんだが。俺たちは5年前、壁を破壊して人類への攻撃を始めた。
見たことあるのか、超大型巨人。だから見たことあるって。
俺が鎧の巨人で、こいつが超大型巨人ってやつ。
ウォールマリアを破った鎧の巨人はそう呼ばれてるけど、俺の目には普通の巨人に見えたんだ。
俺たちの目的はこの人類全てに消えてもらうことだ。
外門が突破され、巨人の侵入を許した。
だがそうする必要はなくなった。エレン、お前が俺たちと一緒に来てくれるなら、俺たちはもう壁を壊したりしなくていいんだ。
でも動機としてはその疑いは低いと思います。無口なベルトルトは置いといても、ライナーは俺たちの兄貴みたいなやつで、人を騙せるほど器用じゃありませんし。
だから俺たちと一緒に来てくれって言ってんだよ。どうなんだよエレン。
なあ、嘘だろベルトルト、ライナー。今までずっと俺たちのこと騙してたのかよ。そんなのひでえよ。お前らは今まで何考えてたんだ。
帰れなくなった故郷に帰る。俺の中にあるのはこれだけだ。絶対に何としてもだ。きっとここに長く居すぎてしまったんだ。俺たちはガキで何一つ知らなかったんだよ。こんな奴らがいるなんて知らずにいれば。
待て。
ありがとうユミル。俺はこんな半端なクソ野郎にならずに済んだのに。もう俺には行くぞ。何が正しいことなのかわからん。
昔のライナーは戦士だった。
自分で選んだ道だが、兵士をやるってのはどう思う。ただ俺のすべきことはやるんだな。自分のした行いや選択に対し、今ここで戦士として最後まで責任を果たすことだ。
お前らは兵士でも戦士でもねえよ。何の罪もない人たちを大勢殺した大量殺人鬼だ。
んなこと分かってんだよ。 お前にわざわざ教えてもらわなくてもな。誰が人なんか殺したいと思うんだ。
ごめんなさい。
人から恨まれて殺されても当然のことをした。でも僕らは罪を受け入れきれなかった。
謝ってほしいのか。
僕らに謝る資格なんてあるわけない。
もうお前が知る俺らはいねえんだ。
けど誰か見つけてくれ。
この5年間ずっと探してた手がかりをようやく見つけたんだ。
やっとここまで来たんだ。エレンを連れて帰る。故郷に帰るんだ。
散々言ってきたことだが、
ライナー。
俺とはこれから離れた位置につく。少しは自分で考えて行動しろよ。
ああ、そうさ。ここで勝って終わらせてやる。
勇敢なる戦士たちよ、ここで決着をつけ我々の使命を果たそうじゃないか。
じゃあな、頼んだぞ相棒。
任せろ。ライナーも巨人化してしばらく経った。合図はまだか。ライナー、そっちはまだ無事なのか。来た、合図だ。
踏ん張れよベルトルト。あと少し、あと少しなんだ。
どこだ
ライナー、今行く。ライナ
故郷だ。帰ろう。もう帰れるじゃないか。今まで苦労してきたことに比べればあと少しのことだよ。
そうか、あともう一息のところまで来ているんだったな。
ベルトルト、生き延びて帰るぞ。絶対に俺たちの故郷にな。
ああ、帰ろう。
ライナー、お前は運が良かったね。
This season was obviously not the hit that the first season was, and the change in tone really alienated a lot of viewers, but with where we are at the story right now, this season was very important.
This scene is one of my favorite scenes in all of Attack on Titan. For context, Eren has always been the literal embodiment of someone striving for freedom. Throughout the entire series, we're constantly shown this through his actions and lots of screaming. Understandably, many people didn't like that aspect of his character. It made him seem whiny and annoying. But it's in this scene where my perspective on Eren as a character forever changed. We watch Hans be devoured and the music completely shuts out. Both us and Eren witness the tragedy before us in complete and utter silence. Whether you find Hans' death contrived or not, the emotional impact it has on Eren is very real. Think about everything that has led up to this moment. At a young age, Eren was forced to watch his own mother be murdered, unable to do anything to prevent her from dying. Then years pass and he ends up turning into the very thing that he swore to exterminate. But ironically, this new power is the only reason humanity has a chance to retaliate. It's also the only thing that allows him to fight. Soon after acquiring this power, he learns that Annie was the cause that led to the destruction of the Levi squad. And without ever being able to understand her intentions, he's betrayed once again by his closest friends, people he genuinely cared about and respected. But the trauma doesn't end there. The Titan that killed his mother reappears, and as if to repeat history, takes another life that Eren endeared, that he cared for. Seeing this all go down, all the while being powerless to change anything, Eren breaks down. It's one of the most human moments in his character. In this scene, he's no hero, no warrior, no savior. He's none of that. He's simply a boy who's been beaten down constantly and is now suffering. He's human. And as any human in his position would, he cries. It's a tragic depiction of someone falling into self-loathing.
何にも変わってねえな、お前は。何にもできねえじゃねえかよ。何にも。
But But then Mikasa leans in and professes her true feelings. She earnestly thanks Eren and tells him that he is not worthless because he's the person who gave her a reason to live. And as the Titans slowly surround them, she moves in for a kiss of death. However, in this critical moment, Eren rejects her feelings, but what I find so beautiful in this scene is the fact that this rejection means so much more than the Eren-Mikasa ship being sunk. Through taking this one action, Eren rejects the idea of defeat. He rejects failure, he rejects despair, he rejects backing down, he rejects death. And after doing this, he stands, ready to fight for the freedom that he's always desired. A broken human being who, despite his shortcomings, is still willing to fight for the sake of his dreams. The end result being an inspiring moment in which they live. You can claim that Eren just has plot armor here, but that's anything but the truth. Because what this scene does is not only convey the idea of perseverance, but also feeds into the true narrative of Attack on Titan. It's an iconic moment in which the events that occur later on only happen due to the seeds planted in this scene.
On 2018, the third season of the anime would pick up where it left off. From the first arc itself, the series had a potential to be a much more grander story, and in season 2 it had to choose whether it would remain the simplistic humans versus titans show or a much more complex, nuanced and intriguing story, which it currently is. And this season, the third season with the royal government arc, was the vision materialized. As the characters we've gotten attached to unravel the mystery behind the walls and the world of titans, they are made targets by the inner politics of the walls. What this arc is best at is using the mystery of the show to expand upon the complexity of this fictional world, all the while putting its characters in interesting circumstances. Most notably, Levi and his story are put front and center of this arc and allowed to flesh out a lot more. The arc puts humans against humans, exposing the inner workings of the walls, the origins of the titan shifters, conspiracies, power struggles and questions of morality. The change in focus and the power dynamics of the show give it a breath of fresh air without downplaying and underplaying the events that took place in other seasons and arcs.
The other thing this allowed the season to do was to have outstanding moments that didn't need to rely on action. In fact, the best scenes purely revolved around character decisions, like the phenomenal scene with Historia, aka the waifu formerly known as Krista. So all the scene basically revolves around is whether she should accept her heritage or reject it. Now, I'm not really an animated guy when watching anime. There could be this really hype scene, and in my head I'm like, yo, goddamn, this is hype as fuck, look at this shit! But on the outside I'm like, cool. So I surprised even myself when the waifu formerly known as Krista smacks a vial out of the hand. I visibly leapt out of my seat and shouted, yes! You fucking go, girl! God, I fucking love this moment so much. And what I loved about it was that, like the rest of the season, Isayama presented a difficult character choice, and you genuinely did not know what they would choose, especially because what she chose to do was the harder choice. By doing this, not only does she have to reject her father and a more cushy life, but also her right to attain the power of essentially a titan god, meaning humanity will now have to go down an unknown but far more challenging path. So it gives it so much more weight when she chooses not only to reject all that, but fucking do it by judo flipping her dick father, breaking his back, smacking Eren in the head and telling him to stop being such a bloody crybaby, landing the killing blow so the public will have faith in her as a new queen, and then just for good measure, having the balls to punch Levi all in a good day's work. And people say there's a legitimate argument of who is best girl in this show.
You are my queen.
Pure and simple, this is just great writing, and that was the point when I realized, holy crap, this series might actually be something really special.
The stunning visuals and big plot developments brought back a lot of the hype for the series and made everyone know that Attack on Titan is a show that you need to have your eyes on. Everything was looking great for the next arc.
エレンの命を何度も救った。その度に何人もの仲間が死んだ。獣の巨人はお前にしか託せない。了解した。それが人類が生き残る希望だと信じて夢を諦めて死んでくれ。そう信じた結果がこのざまだ。獣の巨人は俺が仕留める。兵士を怒れ、兵士を叫べ、兵士を叩け。は随分と楽しそうだったな。もっと楽しんでくれよ。指揮
決まった。どこに行ったらいいばいい。
あの兵士たちに意味を与えるのは我々だ。あの勇敢な死者を、哀れな死者を思うことができるのは聖者である我々だ。我々はここで死に、次の聖者に意味を託す。それこそ唯一この残酷な世界に抗う術なのだ。お坊さん、見ててくれよ。長かった。エルヴィン、あの日の誓いをようやく果たせそうだ。お前たちの死には意味があった。
At this point, every season, every arc had built upon the last. Every plot thread had been answered or built upon, and this arc was the payoff to all of that. If Season 1 had the rollercoaster ride, Season 2 had the great character writing and mystery box, and Season 3 had great political thriller, well, this was everything at once. Watching this season play out week to week was honestly a privilege. Every episode was jam-packed with amazingly directed action sequences, epic reveals of the world, great character building and difficult character decisions, with consequences to every action. The series essentially paid off everything that it was building up from the start. The characters finally reach the sea and we finally get to see what's inside the basement. It is said that the reveal of a great mystery should allow the story to build upon a conclusion beyond which the audience cannot imagine another. And the reveals of the content within the basement does exactly that. The basement revelation utterly reshapes our understanding of the world without undermining prior events, rather giving them more meaning, which is damn perfect. The final season of this masterpiece opens up echoing the first arc of the series with the rules reversed. If the basement was the revelation, this season is what the characters do with that revelation, and it is a rollercoaster ride with a lot of weight. The Paradise Island arc fills up the gap between the time skip and builds up the tension for the final arc. To address the elephant in the room, yes, the animation is not as good as when Studio Wit did it, but in my opinion it is still serviceable and the story definitely makes up for it.
The final season doesn't have any star 2D animators. It has a few standout scenes, but nothing that defines the show in the same way that the action directors on the first 3 seasons did. So instead, the role of defining the show's action set pieces, especially involving the Titans, falls to these 3D artists. And it's genuinely impressive. In season 2, I cringed every time Madbox's Colossal Titan appeared on screen, but final season's work stands out in a way that few people give it credit for. I didn't watch final season on its debut, but instead caught it a few weeks later. And over that time, I'd been inundated with comments about how terrible Attack on Titan CG was. And so when I finally watched the episodes, it was like, wait, this is what you're complaining about? This is the best the Armored Titans looked since episode 2. While they're 3D models, their actions are defined by 2D poses and guides, making sure everything matches the sort of motion we'd see if they were in 2D. This also includes frame skipping, something common throughout 3D anime and Spider-Verse, to give off that very deliberate limited feeling. To top it off, it has that same extraordinary texture work that we saw in Dorohedoro, matching the style of the show, turning what could have been a lowlight instead into a highlight. It is still far from matching the appeal that we're used to though, and a lot can get lost, especially when it comes to Titan expressions. The additional 2D effects animation does help, but I imagine most were hoping for the full 2D animation that was teased in the pre-animated trailer. But of course, that level of quality would have been a nightmare to keep up with on the tight schedule they've been given.
What is freedom? What is the cost of freedom? How can the Eldians truly be free? Almost everything in Attack on Titan leads up to this very question. Is it Zeke's euthanasia plan? Is it Eren's extermination plan? Or is it being free from the cycle of fate according to Armin?
がいる。
おいハンジ、毒かもしれねえから触るんじゃねえ。
ほら言っただろうエレン。商人が一生かけても取り尽くせないほどの巨大な塩の湖があるって。僕が言ったこと間違ってなかっただろ。
ああ、すっげえ広いな。
ねえエレン、これ見てよ。壁の向こうには
海があって、海の向こうには自由がある。ずっとそう信じてた。でも違った。海の向こうにいるのは敵だ。何もかも親父の記憶で見たものと同じなんだ。ああ、向こうにいる敵全部殺せば俺たち自由になれるのか。
After finding out the reality behind the world, the Titans, and the island, Eren decides to work with the scouts to protect the Eldians. However, he ultimately fails. Seeing everything and everyone he cared about die, he uses the power of the Attack Titan to go back in time and rewrite history. However, every attempt at rewriting history, no matter what he does, the result is always the Eldians in loss. He finally cracks under the pressure and decides to live out the remainder of his life with Mikasa. The both of them run away and lived out the remainder of Eren's life happily. Before Eren dies of the curse of Ymir, he is filled with regret. Regret that he was a slave to his circumstances. Regret that he could not save the Eldians. So he loops back in time. He wakes up in the first episode, knowing full well the path he has to take, and understanding that the rumbling is the only chance for the Eldians to survive. He understands the only way for the Eldians to be free is for the Titans and Eren Yeager himself to become a symbol of hate. Attack on Titan, though not as popular as it used to be, has always been the series that delivered on what it promised in a way that blew everyone's expectations. The series has changed and evolved into something that is truly worthy of being called a masterpiece. Both the manga and the anime, unlike other popular shonen, has maintained its quality and improved over the course of its serialization. It's been an amazing 12 years. Attack on Titan can finally be free.
ただ一つ約束交わそう僕らだけの名前を呼び合って僕らだけの喜び分かち合った僕らだけの言葉で確かめて僕らだけの抱きしめたこの世界のどこか未来で会えるなら忘れないでいて僕のこと本当のこと
And yeah, that was the video. I know it's been 3 months since my last upload, but I've had a lot of exams and I have a lot of more exams coming up, so I won't be uploading a lot. I won't be uploading for like the next 2 months too, but I will be planning to upload regularly after my exams are done. And if you like the video, drop a like, I guess subscribe to my channel, cause that's all for this time. Until next time, let me sleep.
青い影 だ